Um, Cavan is a largely rural county. It's divided into 3 LEAs, which correspond with the 3 engineering areas. And speaking to the engineers in those areas, they tell me there's approximately 1,000 kilometres of local road in each area. And based on the funding that they've received, when you take out the cost of repairing regional roads in the area and town centres, they have approximately enough to repair 1 to 1.5% of the local road network per year. So, for example, one engineer was telling me he had enough to repair 15 kilometres of local road out of almost 1,000. So at that rate of going, a road repaired this year will not be repaired again for another 100 years. Now, roads are disintegrating on front of our eyes. When the council goes out to repair a road for tarring, the culverts practically all need to be repaired. There's a huge amount of work needs to be done in preparing the road because it's been left so long in between having been repaired before. It's a county that depends largely on agriculture and agribusiness and small and medium-sized enterprises, which all contribute significantly to the economy, as do ordinary people who pay their road tax and cannot understand why they can't travel the roads. I hear from carers who find it very difficult to get to people they're caring for, and their cars are being destroyed. I hear from people delivering Meals on Wheels. I hear from school bus drivers who can't travel the roads to get children to school. So I know the council themselves have prepared a comprehensive report which is sent to the department, and they've looked at the funding they've received for roads from 2008 to now, and they believe there's a shortfall of something like 200 million. When you take into account the inflation and the fact that the cost of construction has risen dramatically, as has construction materials. So the money has not kept in line with inflation. And for example, if they need to break into land to see the development of housing or indeed enterprise as well, that's costing a huge amount of money, and that's not being factored in. So in order for the county to deal with the housing shortage or to ensure that there's economic development in the county, they need more investment. So Minister, something has to be done. People depend on the rural road network. We're not going to be able to put public transport on all our rural roads. They need to be able to get to their work, to their farm, to do whatever they need to do, all their transport journeys. And as it's going now, the roads are they're disappearing. And I know it may not be different in other counties, but I'm looking at, in general, in Cavan it's a very large network of rural roads, and we need investment in the rural roads in order to ensure we maintain it. It's also a drumlin county. It's a county with 365 lakes, a lot of rivers, a lot of streams, and that has to be factored in as well, and I don't think that is being. So I'm just asking if the Department of Transport have looked at this, have considered increased funding to ensure that the roads don't disintegrate further. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline and Senator Tully, for your question, and I welcome the opportunity to discuss this important topic with members of the House today on behalf of the Minister for Transport. And I understand, Senator, your question is in relation to the funding provided by 2 local authorities for the maintenance of local roads, with a particular emphasis on the Cavan region. And it's a region I'm very familiar with. I represent Sligo, Leitrim, South Donegal. At one stage I was into West Cavan, I represent, so there's the same type of areas. And the one area that we've always been is local roads. It mightn't pertain in others, but in your area it's very, very important. And as you're aware, as outlined in the 2025 Regional Local Roads Programme, the Government is strongly committed to protecting the existing road network. And it is important to highlight that the improvement and maintenance of the regional road network is a statutory responsibility of each local authority, in accordance with Road Act 1993. Works in these roads are funded from the Council's own resources and are supplemented by state road grants. The initial selection prioritisation of works is a matter for the local authority. And there has been a significant increase in Exchequer funding in recent years, with an Exchequer investment of 713 million in our regional and local roads this year. This represents an increase of 25% in funding when compared to 2021. As regards the basis of allocation grants, within the budget available to the Department, grant funding is allocated on the basis of grant programmes and not on the basis of category of roads. The allocation of funding across specific roads or across category roads is a matter for each local authority, having regard to the funding available to it from local and central sources, as well its particular priorities. The main regional local roads grant programmes are targeted at specific policy objectives: pavement sealing to protect the road surface from water damage, their domestic restoration maintenance grants, and road strengthening based on pavement condition rating to lengthen the life of the road pavements, restoration improvement grants, and a discretionary grants which allow for a range of activities including pothole repairs, edge straightening, renewal of signs and lines, and winter maintenance. These 3 grant programmes account for most of the grant funding and are allocated based primarily on the length of the road network in a particular local authority area. Apart from the requirement that 15% of the road strengthening grant is spent on regional roads, the allocation of funding to different categories of roads is an entirely matter for decision by each local authority. In addition, basing regional and local roads grants allocations and road conditions could result in an uneven distribution of exchequer funding. For example, local roads that allocate higher levels of own resources funding to regional local roads will have a larger proportion of roads with a higher condition rating than those with lower levels of own resources funding. Basing allocations on road condition could therefore incentivise local authorities from allocating own resources funding to roads maintenance. The Department does operate a community involvement scheme, the CIS, to facilitate local community participation on a voluntary basis in the repair of local roads, and the focus of the programme is on repair of more lightly trafficked public roads which not be high on the list of local authorities' annual road network. The Department appreciates that within the overall parameters set for regional and local road grant programme, local authorities might need to target funding at particular problem areas, and there is sufficient flexibility in the structure of the grant programme to allow for this. And it is also open to each local authority to allocate its own resources to priority areas. And it should be noted that executive funding for regional and local roads is intended to supplement realistic contributions from local authorities' own resources. As the statutory roads authorities for their areas, it is open to local authorities to prioritise investment towards regional and local roads. Again, I'm very familiar with Cavan. It is a rural county, and we need to do everything possible and use whatever flexible ways we can to incentivise repairs of roads. But it was, I remember, 25 years when I got involved in politics first, there was pothole candidates in Cavan. I think the road network has improved, but again, the cost of repairing roads has gone up, and you made a very, very valid argument that maybe we need to increase the funding as well.
Minister, I know you have pointed out that the funding has increased by 25% since 2021, but so has the cost. So it probably is really negligible. But the thing is, I mean, the council do prioritise roads, but they have to spend money. They have to, on other aspects of the council as well. They can't just put everything into roads, and they just, like 1% to 1.5% of the rural road network being repaired per year is just not sufficient. It has to be addressed, or we're not going to be able to travel on the roads going forward if this is the case, is continuing on. I mean, I know you're saying it disincentivises them putting their own funds in. They put in whatever funds they can into the roads. They try to be imaginative as possible in getting the funding together to spend on the roads, but it's just not possible. And I know obviously you have to repair the regional roads. There's the most traffic on those. That's important. No one's arguing with that. But the rural roads, if you can't access your rural road to get to the regional road, well then, it's no good. It's not going to encourage investment in the county. I mean, we're a county without a rail service as it is. We're a county with a very poor public bus service. So we need to invest in our roads to ensure that people can travel on those roads safely and without additional cost with damages to their cars. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. And the Irish road network consists of over 100,000 kilometres of road, and while the national road network carries about 45% of total traffic, there is, as you said, a very extensive network of regional and local roads. Regional roads comprise about 30% of all roads, and local roads about 82% of all roads. And, this year, the regional and local roads grants were notified to local authorities on the 14th of February. Cavan County Council has been allocated a total of 19.2 million, which is an increase of 1.7 on the 2024 allocation. But again, you've made a very, very valid argument, and it's something as a TD in a rural constituency as well, the same as yourself. It's one thing that we always are doing, is to champion and fight for much more funding for local and regional roads. But again, thanks for your contribution.